Hey guys, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions, and here I am, day one of Heroes Con 2023 in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm getting ready to go in, get in line. I'm going to take some footage. I'll show you some of the lines that are already starting, and I hope you enjoy today's video. We'll try to show you some of the stuff that I get today, but most of the day I'm going to be standing in line getting autographs and working with CGC a little bit. We'll see what we get. Last year, I only ended up getting comics the last day I was here. It was nothing but autographs for 2 solid days. So we're gonna see how this year plays out. I'm excited, and we'll go from there. So sit back, enjoy some of the footage from today, and I will come back and do a recap at the very end of the video. Alright guys, we are finished with day one here at Heroes Con. I can't say that I ended up buying a lot. I spent a lot, but that was mostly on autographs and CGC fees and things like that. I did buy something, so when I get back to the hotel and have a moment, I'm going to sit down and I will show you what I got today and what the plans are for day two. So stay tuned for just a moment. Alright everybody, so I finally made it back to the hotel room after day one here at Heroes Con 2023 in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was a long day, a lot of standing in line, and I'm going to start with giving you my impression of the show overall, at least the part that I experienced. Then we're going to go over what comics and things that I got signed, what I got signed today, and then we are going to go over the purchases that I made today, and at the very end we're going to go over a little bit about what I'm going to be expecting to do on day two tomorrow. But overall, my impressions are that it was really good. Friday down here, it wasn't super crowded, but the lines were long, but not because it was a number of people, it was because I was getting a lot of books witnessed by CGC. And there was not a lot of facilitators here, representatives of CGC here, that
were like last year, where you could go to any of these guys and you can get a witness, bring them to the table, get your books witnessed, and then you can take them right to CGC or submit them with the facilitator. What happened was you pretty much had CGC here themselves, and they did not have enough witnesses on hand to meet the volume of people who were getting books signed. And you're literally standing in line at CGC waiting to get a witness to go with you to some artist or creator that then you had to stand in line there, and it just drug on. I will tell you, I got 2 autographs in the first 2.5 hours. Of course, that was Jim Steranko. That was a pretty good autograph to start with, but it just took forever. And eventually, I think they finally found out that they were really starting to lose business and people were really unhappy. And what they would do at some point would a CGC representative would come over and he would talk to the crowd that was there. Who are you getting autographs from? And what he did was he ended up taking us as a group to that area of the convention hall, and he literally, like if several of us had autographs for a certain artist, like David Nakayama was a good example. Then 2 or 3 of us, we got our books signed. He stayed right with us. Then we walked over and got the next artist, and we did that towards the end of the day, and we ended up getting, I think, 3 or 4 different autograph guests at that point. And when he was finished with all of us, he turned around, he has the bags to put your books in that get sealed. Now you can hold on to them if you still have more autographs that you're going to get, or if you're ready to go to CGC themselves and go ahead and submit your order, you can do that too. But he gives you your book, it's sealed, it's signed, and that way you cannot do anything to that book. It's legitimate, they witnessed it, and it's completely fine. Well, towards the end of that last group, I had a couple people left, and we made the decision to go get Jeff Smith, the creator of Bone, and that line was going to take forever. We knew this. And so the representative gave us his business card that had his phone number on it. And he basically said, text me when you get up to the table and he'll come over and he'll witness the autograph. And that was pretty good. I like that system a lot better. But this, I stood in line, my wife stood in line forever, and then I stood in line forever. Jeff Smith was signing for free, and he was doing sketches, and it was forever. In fact, it ended up being about 2.5 hours in this line, and it kind of blew the end of the day. I didn't quite finish all of my signings, all my CGC signings because of that. But in the end, I guess overall it was a good first day because of all the artists that I wanted to get autographs from, that I wanted to have CGC witness. I did all of them except for one, and that one was Alan Davis, and he had 2 signing sessions today that just did not last very long. So I missed both of those, and with the intention now, that's going to be the first thing I'm going to do tomorrow morning is to go get that. But show was pretty good other than that, but all I ended up doing was standing in line waiting for CGC to witness autographs. So I don't know, it was, like I said, it was a good day, but it could have been better if they had just had a handful of witnesses on hand that could go with you, or had them stationed out in the crowd. And that's my take on day 1 with that part of it. Now, I did end up getting a lot of autographs signed other than the books that I got for CGC. I can't show you those because they're bagged and ready to go to CGC. But I did get other books, and I've got them sitting right here. And we're going to start with I'll just run through them real quick. So we'll start with Chris Claremont. Got a copy of Wolverine #1, the limited series, but this is the facsimile. And this is one that I'm just going to hold on to. I'm going to get Joe Rubinstein tomorrow on this as well. And I will wait for another Frank Miller signing, and I'll probably submit that at that point. I ended up getting, this is a project piece, jam session. This is the Heroes for Hope, the X-Men. And of course, you got this beautiful Art Adams cover. I plan on getting this signed in Baltimore by Art Adams. And I said, well, there's so many creators that worked on this book. Let's start working on it. It may be fun to add some of these creators that are at HeroesCon. And so you can see Chris Claremont up here, but I also got Jim Shooter today. Now tomorrow, I'm going to be looking for Al Milgrom. who else? Mike Grail, I've got a list here in the back. Joe Rubenstein, I've got to get him on this as well. Unfortunately, John Romita Jr., who's in this, had to cancel because of the death of his father, and that's understandable, but it's a piece that I'll hold on to for him as well at some point. And here's another kind of a jam session. It's not quite as many artists, but it's a great book. If you guys ever get a chance to read Marvel Fanfare #1, you've got this Michael Golden artwork with Chris Claremont's story. And then you've got, of course, it's Marvel Fanfare, and who was the editor and who has other things in the book is you got Al Milgrom. He was an editor, but he also contributed art to a lot of the Marvel Fanfare books. I'm reading on the back who else was on there. Jim Shooter, of course, you see Jim Shooter down here at the bottom. He signed this, and then Claremont up here at the top. Who else is in this book? Inside, front, and back cover, it's a spread, and it's a beautiful Spider-Man, Silver Surfer spread by John Byrne and Terry Austin. So we'll see if we ever get a chance ever again to get John Byrne, but that would be nice to add it. And then the back cover is by Paul Smith, and I've never seen him either, but Paul Smith, and then actually he's on the inside back cover, and then the back cover itself is Frank Miller. So this is going to be a nice jam piece at some point. It'll take a few years, but that'll be a fun piece. They got this. This is New Mutants #18, and I intended to get this signed at this show by Bill Sienkiewicz and Chris Claremont, but as it stands, I'm just going to get Chris Claremont, hold on to it until I get a chance to see Sienkiewicz again. Now, here's my favorite Jim Lee X-Men book. This is 256, the first appearance of Psylocke and her new persona, and favorite book. I've gotten this one CGC'd by Jim Lee and Chris Claremont. I didn't get the grade I quite wanted on that, but I ended up doing this one. There's Claremont's signature up at the top. Let me go zoom in. You can see it there. But it already had Jim Lee's autograph on there when I bought that, so it was nice to add that to that. Then I got 2 copies of this. This is Wolverine #1, the 1988 series with John Buscema. This is a facsimile. In fact, I've got 2 of those right here. And I actually also got the original, the actual 1988 copy of that done as well. And that's the one that's going to CGC, so I can show you that off. And then the last thing I got signed by Chris Claremont was one of these cards from the autographcard.com, a comic book greats card, and you can see his signature right on there. And if you guys, I talked about this in a previous video, but if you ever get a chance to pick up some of these cards from the autographcard.com, definitely pick them up. They got non-sports and sports cards. I think they've got like over 70 products you can collect autographs on, either in person or through the mail. They're great through the mail. But on the back of the cards, and I haven't filled it out, but they've got a space on there where you can put their name, notes about the show, where you got them signed, and the date that you got the autograph. So it's a pretty cool item if you don't necessarily have something to get signed, but I wanted to get one of these on Chris Claremont, and I did this with a couple other artists in this show too, and I'll try to show those off to you as well. I ended up getting 2 books right here by Steve Epting. He did the art to Year of the Villain #3. This is the first appearance of Punchline, and as you can see, I already have James Tynion right up here. And I added Steve Epting to that. That was a nice book. This is a book I probably would have CGC'd if it didn't have a little bit of a dog ear up at the corner. And while I'm thinking about this is a good time to talk about, obviously I'm not showing off these books very well because you see all this blue painter's tape. This is how I do my books when I go to a show. Whether I'm doing it for CGC or for myself, I want the books to be protected, and so I cut these out of the bag and board and leave a giant area for the artist to sign. And as you can see, I've got arrows pointing to that area because they're sitting there. They may not notice that this area you don't want signed, but I put arrows on those so they can see where to sign. But all the books are going to be like that. Like I said, even the ones that are not going to CGC. He did the art in Detective Comics 1000 as well. Now you've got this really cool Frank Miller cover, and you can't see it right here, but underneath, because there's Steve Epting right there. but underneath the tape here, you can see there's a little tail end of a black something or other. That's James Tinian as well, but this is a book that I will save for Frank Miller at some point for a future signing. Another favorite artist that I got to meet last year and I bought some prints from was Michael Cho, and this is a copy, I think it's one of the Harley Quinn issues. I'm not sure which one, but I didn't care because this print right here, this image from Michael Cho of Harley Quinn, I bought this print last year and gave it to my daughter as a gift. I got Michael Cho to sign it, and it was a tribute to Amanda Conner and Jimmy Palminotti, and I ended up getting both of them to sign it to my daughter as well. I think they all personalized it to my daughter. So that was a nice Christmas gift for her. But I actually got a few other books by Michael Cho. This is, I think, what is this? It's one of the Batman books. Hang on. Batman, yeah, it's Batman Urban Legends, and beautiful cover, very dynamic. Michael Cho reminds me a lot of Darwin Cook in his style, but I don't know why he chose this. I chose this dark area to get signed, but he chose a dark pen to sign it with. You can see it there in the light a little bit. Would have been nice if he had done a silver pen. I just didn't catch him quick enough to be able to tell him not to do that. And he did a bunch of series of Marvel books across the line with different stories. This was one of the Avenger books right here. I think issue 42 or 43. And if you can't really tell, it's you've got the Wasp and Ant-Man there. And this is a book I regret now. Jason Aaron was at my local comic book shop here about a month ago, and if I had been thinking straight, I would have pulled this book to get Jason Aaron to sign it because he was writing the Avengers, and this would have been a good book to get 2 signatures on. Now this one has another signature already. I bought this from a Whatnot sale during the New York Comic Con, and this is Tyler Kirkham up here. And I bought this because he had done a quick remark with Spider-Man's eyes right there. But this is Amazing Fantasy 1000. It's a homage to the Steranko's Hulk Annual. Beautiful illustration. And I bought that because I was going to get it graded. And when I was coming up on the show here, I was like, well, there's other artists in here. Let's see who else is in here. And so Michael Cho is going to be at this show. And I'm looking on the back. I've got the names written back here of some of the people that usually show up to Baltimore and to Charlotte for the cons. Klaus Jansen's there, Jimmy Chung. Usually you'll see Terry Dotson as well, and Jonathan Hickman, who's actually here at Heroes Con. I may try to get him on here as well. So at this show, I'm going to pull this so I can possibly get Jonathan Hickman if his lines aren't too long. And then the last Michael Cho one I got was the Strange Academy #9, a beautiful Doctor Strange illustration. And of course, we got Scotty Young here in Charlotte as well. So, and I've heard his lines are really long, so we'll see about getting his. I'm not really sure. But that right there was a pretty good haul on Michael Cho. And I already showed you 2 Jim Shooter autographs, but I got one more, and this is a facsimile of Spider-Man 238, first appearance of the Hobgoblin, and I've got arrows cut up here at the top for a signing area, and I've got areas in the big area down here as well. What you cannot see because of the tape right in this area right here is I got this signed last year at this con by John Romita Jr. And I got a couple of these signed. I should have gotten all of them signed by Jim Shooter, but I don't know what I was thinking. I pulled 3 books out. I didn't have a lot of time because my wife was holding a spot in line. And I went and it's like I pulled 3 books out, got his autographs real quick, and then I hightailed it back to the line my wife was waiting in. But I've got 2 more of these. I may go ahead and get Jim Shooter on both of those as well, but the other person I want to get on this book is Tom DeFalco, who was the editor. Jim Shooter was the editor-in-chief. But at some point, I'd love to get Roger Stern, and I think I mentioned this in my video from a couple days ago, or maybe it was even this morning. But I talked about this book and how I really wish I could have gotten John Romita Sr. on this book. Of course, he just passed away a day or so ago because he did the inking over his son's art here. I thought that was pretty cool. All right. Now, these are some pretty cool books. I got 2 of these. This is Berserker #1 from Boom Studios. It is this cover right here, this virgin cover, was by J.G. Jones, and one of my favorite artists. He's going to be in Baltimore Comic-Con, and I bought these books anyway. I didn't buy them because I wanted to get signed eventually. I just love them. And I got 2 of these sitting here, but it's the same cover. But I had already gotten Ron Garney on here. I don't know, I want to say, I guess it was in Baltimore last fall. But I wanted to get Matt Kint, who was here at Heroes Con. So I got 2 of these, and you can see I've got Ron Garney on there, and there's Matt Kint's autograph. It's hard to tell. I'm holding it up. I can't tell which one's which, to be honest. But yeah, I've got Matt Kint just on that one. Actually, Ron Garney's here too, so I need to get him on this one because then I'll have 2 copies. But the idea is now I'll take these to Baltimore in September, get J.G. Jones on there as well. I ended up getting 5 books from David Nakayama, and this is the only one that I did not get CGC'd. It's a recent copy of Action Comics. I think it's 1051. Beautiful Power Girl. I probably made a mistake on this, but I kind of like just to have it in the PC. A lot of times when I get books graded, I've got an eye on possibly selling them, and it's like, I kind of like just to have the book in the PC. But the other 4 books I got I did get 2 copies of the same virgin cover to X-Men #3, with the X-23 as Wolverine on a big yellow background, just like she's on white here. On that one, she's on yellow. And then I got 2 copies. They're not the same issue, but they're not the same cover. It's Daredevil 29, and you've got Elektra on both of them. But one of them, you have Elektra leaping to the right, and she's dressed as Elektra. And then on the other one, you have her leaping to the left, and she's dressed in her new Daredevil persona. And I've got both of those in 9.8s back at the house. I love those covers. So something just hit me when I had to have those. Well, I ended up seeing Nakayama is going to be here. I ended up buying 2 additional copies of that. They were really nice. I cleaned and pressed them. I hope they're going to hit those 9.8s. But I got him to sign both of those. And we had a long conversation about the unique opportunity to do both illustrations. You could do 2 covers of just about any character, and with costume changes and things like that. But how often do you have one where she literally has, it's not just a little change to the costume, it is a character defining change like that. And so we were trying to come up real quick with other characters in that exact similar thing, and really nothing came to us. But I told him that it kind of struck a chord with me when I saw that, and I had to have both of them, and so I was real happy to get both of those signed. And then the last book that I actually have in person that I got signed was by Mike McCone. He did the art to this. This is X-Men Unlimited #3, and again, you see all the tape I've got here, but it's a little hard to see, but you've got up here, you've got the writer on this, the creator of Deadpool. You've got, I'm going to mispronounce this, I know. I practiced this a long time ago. It's Fabian Nicieza. I completely probably butchered that. I cannot remember how to pronounce his name. He signed up here, and right here is Mark McKenna, who did, I think, some of the inking in the book. But the real reason I had this book already pulled for Heroes Con was to get Bill Sienkiewicz on this beautiful Sabretooth illustration. And unfortunately, he canceled. And that was #1, the main reason I was coming to Heroes Con this year again, was to see Bill Sienkiewicz and get more autographs from him. And yeah, he canceled, and from my understanding, that is something he is very prone to do. But those are all the autographs that I got, minus the ones that are going to CGC. Now, so I told you I was going to tell you, what did I buy today? Well, I didn't have any time to go buy comics, and it was driving me insane. I wanted to stop. Every time we were going off to get something signed, especially towards the end of the day, we're going by a lot of the vendors, and the books are just sitting there going, Rusty, Rusty, you need to stop and buy me. I mean, I'm sitting there looking at from the distance, I'm walking by and I'm going, oh, they got some raw copies of Silver Surfer #3, and I'm going, Yeah, I may have to come back. I'm hoping tomorrow when I get the rest of my signatures done, I'm hoping I can wrap it up for the most part, and I'll have some significant time tomorrow to start looking at comics. Unlike last year where I ended up 2 days, nothing to standing in line, and then finally on day 3, I finally got to spend time digging and buying comic books. And I hope I don't wait that long this time because, man, those books are out there and they're looking good, and hopefully we'll see some really good prices because, as everybody knows, the market is down right now. Now, a lot of dealers probably haven't got that memo, but I'm going to look for deals, and I've got slab books with me, and I'm looking to make deals and trades, hopefully, but we'll see what happens on that front. But let me show you what I ended up buying today. I did buy one thing, and that was only because the dealer was right next to us when we were standing in line for Chris Claremont, and it is an art dealer named The Artist's Choice, and I love those guys. They have a lot of art from a lot of different artists that are very reasonable prices, and you can collect a good number of pieces at, as I said, reasonable prices. I've bought a ton of Steve Epping artwork from him and Mark Bagley artwork. Those are the two that come to mind. But the third artist is who I ended up buying today because I only stopped for a minute to see if he actually had pages from this book that Dale Eaglesham had done, and that's the artist, Dale Eaglesham. And this right here, let me show you if you can see it. This is a page from Villains United. This was a miniseries back, I believe, in 2005 that kind of brought back some very B and C list villains, put them in a group led by Catman and who was it? Bullseye, not Bullseye. Oh my God, Bullseye's the wrong one. Deadshot. And I love this series. I loved how they revitalized Catman and they made him into a significant hero that he kind of wanted to be Batman. He kind of wanted to be that kind of hero. And to make him, instead of being a joke, he was there's something pretty special about that guy. And I love the artwork, and this is probably about the 4th or 5th page now that I have gotten. I know I bought a page from this series from the Artist's Choice last year at this con. And so I'm there, I'm flipping through. They've got a handful of these pages. There's not many of them left. And so I ended up picking this one right here. And I bought that because it's got this beautiful, pretty big illustration of Sinestro right there. And got some battle scene going on here. What is her name? I keep thinking it was Lady Quasar, but correct me if I'm wrong. I'd have to go back and reread this. It's been so long, but I did it mostly because of this really nice detailed work of Sinestro. I'm going to zoom in on it there. Isn't that beautiful? Some good stuff. I mean, I think it was a $100 page. I mean, that's what I want to pay for artwork. Unfortunately, a lot of the art that I want to collect is outrageous. I mean, I'm a big fan of John Buscema, Tom Palmer, their Avenger pages, and the work from the 70s. Literally, these pages are $7,000 to $12,000 a piece. I mean, it's crazy how much those pages are going for these days. I can't afford that. I'm not even going to come close to affording that. But $100 for a page like this is a real nice thing to have in the PC. All right, so that leaves us with what's going to go on tomorrow. I'm sorry this is going on a little long right here, but I hope you guys enjoy this and gives you a little insight into the show. Maybe tomorrow I'll try to be a little bit quicker on things. But tomorrow, Saturday, I'm going to focus on, number one, getting Alan Davis done and try to wrap up everything I need to do with CGC. I don't know what point I'm going to turn those books in, but my wife says the longer I hold on to these books, the more chance they're going to get damaged. And she's right. I want to get them out of my hands and get them to CGC, and I want to move on. But then I've got a whole box over here of books that I still need to get signed by other creators, ones that I don't necessarily need to get CGC'd. And I'm only going to mention a few names, but big on the list is Tom DeFalco, the former editor and writer at Marvel. Got Joe Rubinstein, the longtime inker, both on DC and Marvel. And the reason I'm getting him is every book I've got the other artists. Like at Wolverine #1 it's a facsimile, but he did the inking on that. I've got a bunch of Justice League of America books that Adam Hughes worked on and signed, and I need him on those. So it's going to be a lot of books where I need him on there to add to the list of creators that are already there. Jay Lee is here. I've got a few books on him, and Al Milgrom. Those are the ones, the bigger names that come to mind. There's some other people here. They're still pretty big names, but that's 5 of the ones that I'm looking for, trying to get finished for tomorrow. But after that, it's going to be going around, looking around at all the dealers and all the comics, and let's start making deals. I mean, they're just calling to me. Those books want to go home, and they want to go to Maryland, and I need to find those books. And we'll go over maybe tomorrow night. We'll see where I stand, and I'll talk about some of the books I'm looking for. Maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow. But guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, give me a like, and definitely hit a notification bell, because that will alert you when these shows pop up. I usually publish the shows, if you watch my channel at all, on Fridays and Mondays at 10 a.m. But I've been doing some pop-up shows leading up to HeroesCon, and I'm going to try to do one of these each night. This will come out moments after I finish editing this, and then I'll do one for Saturday night, and I'll do one for Sunday. But hit the notification bell, that way you'll be alerted when the show goes live. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, because the channel keeps growing. I love this channel, and I love you guys, and I love talking with you guys all the time. So thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I will see you tomorrow night for another recap video like this. And until then, guys, remember, every comic has a story.